folks, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today is a fun day for me. So I noticed the other night bees were getting unloaded. This is a cucumber crop being grown for a pickle contract across the street from our place. So this is the farm across from us where the barn was falling down and kind of put me into motion into doing my own barn repairs, which kind of leads me into lots of other things. So I'm doing a lot of work at my own place. And okay, right up here is our farm, and this is the farm across the road from us that had the barn fallen down. That's a pile of rubble from the barn. So, like I had said, it was such a wet spring that the only thing they were going to really be able to get growing here is to do cucumbers. And they've done pickles on contract before. And the last year that they did them was a couple of years ago. And I have a video of them picking up and dropping off, I think, the beehives. I think it was of them dropping off the beehives. So they drop them off and they pick them up at dusk because the bees don't fly at night. They go back to the hives and they use the heat from everybody in the hive to process the pollen and the nectar, everything that they've brought in. So they're feeding bees, they're taking care of the larvae, they're taking care of the queen. Basically, all of that stuff is going on at night, and all the pollen collecting is happening during the day. So those worker bees leave and they come out to the field. So in a cucumber field, this is what they're looking for. Every one of these yellow blossoms has a tiny little cucumber started. This has been pollinated by a bee already. So these bees showed up a couple of days ago and they have already been busy at work. So right here, you are looking at pallets of beehives. They're set on the pallets for moving to different locations under pollination contract. If you grow cucumbers for a pickle company, they require in the contract that you have 1 hive per acre for your pickles. So they brought out 52 beehives, and it just happens to be that they have 4 on a pallet. This is a 50-acre field, and these honeybees are shipped from everywhere in the United States around for pollination. You cannot have almonds without the bees. You cannot have the cucumbers without the bees. And this is a requirement for them. So in California, where they have the almond growers, they really rely on the bees. So the things like colony collapse disorder that you hear of, varroa mites, wax moths, and hive beetles, can all be devastating to the food supply for the entire nation and across the country. So even in other parts of the world where they export the almonds, those almond growers are really relying on this. But on the other hand, the bees don't have enough nutrition from just one crop. So they get moved around. So we're talking August now. These bees have already had a good start. You can see that the bottom boxes, these are all deeps, which means they are deeper than my hives, and there are more bees in each box. These are all 10 frames. Sometimes they do 8 frames so that they'll fit on a pallet just right. But each frame has between 15 and 2,000 bees in the beginning of a season. So these bees in these boxes can have more bees per frame, more bees per box, because they are relying on this food. So I'm out here on my bike, and this is not without, some risk, because there are bees flying around me and they're coming out here. They don't just go to 1 or 2 plants, they are going all over the place. Now, when these were brought in, the guy was able to pull in right here, unload them off the back of his truck with his forklift, and leave. Nobody around here knew anything that was going on except for the owner of this field. A couple of years ago, he placed them down here at the corner, and at this intersection, cars go around it too fast. The crown of the road is high. It's on a curve like this. Especially the teenagers who drive around here and the people who like to drink and drive fall off the corner all the time. The man that had lived at the corner has recently passed away, so there wasn't an issue with him this year, but a lot of people didn't like in the neighborhood having these beehives right there. There's about 3 or 4 houses right at that corner. So we wanted to kind of come out and check out the situation. So as I got closer, I saw that he had used burlap to smoke the hives when he came out here, but he actually did some working of the beehives while he was out here. See this? This is some old wax. And he just pulled that off and just dumped it here. Must have been just a little comb that he pulled off out of the sides, but these are some of the shabbiest looking beehives I have ever seen in my life, and these bees have a hard time of it. Like this beehive here, it has chunks of wood missing right out of the side, and they can't possibly keep that together with propolis. I have never had to retire any beehive boxes for myself yet, but that one definitely should be put into storage. Now, something different about these beehives that I can tell you that is different than mine, they have an opening for these right here with like a jar cap so that they can do jar feeding with these and have that as a cover that you can remove for a feeder. And these are basic. They're not covered in tin or anything. This is just plywood, so you can see some of the plywood's kind of coming apart on some of them. So for the pollinator hives, they generally are using wood that they're going to switch out in a shorter amount of time, because the shipping around is very hard on the wood itself, instead of going with a higher quality and having the expense for some costly hives. But oh, these poor bees, I feel so bad for them. These are just busted right up. This box should not even be out here, honestly. So for a winter time, the bees would not live in a box like that. So those boxes are probably just honey boxes that are going to come off. And the problem with a box like that is it can incite beehive robbing. And with these bees, I had mentioned before, they don't use a bottom board. They have shims down here at the bottom, probably 3/4 inch. And that is what they're using to make their bottom board and their entrance. So the pallet is solid, and the bees are just going in and out here with the shim here between the two, and it's shimmed all the way around the frame of the actual hive body. Kind of a neat setup. You can see there's like some patchwork done here. That top just needs to be replaced. I just can't believe it. I'm a little fussy about my beehives. If they need paint, I just go ahead and take care of it. Oh, this guy just dumped stuff. See, he had some kind of a larva right here. Oh, dead bees. Yeah. So he did some housekeeping right here, I can see. Oh, look at those poor dead bees. So for whatever reason, in transportation, some of the bees didn't make it. There are a lot of dead bees here. Oh, a whole lot of dead bees. And I'm wondering, they had a sprayer out here a couple of days ago, so I'm going to look into that. It seems like he was here spraying before the bees showed up, but this is way too many dead bees. These bees, being in a short cluster like this, likely were on the front of this hive for some reason and dropped off and died. Usually when they have dead bees, they'll carry out the dead bee. This bee right here is carrying something out. Where'd you go? Oh, she went down on the ground. So they could be carrying dead bees out, but like this box is shimmed up a lot higher than the others, and it's kind of broken apart. It's broken apart right there, so I don't know. That beehive's got a problem. It's just very interesting to see kind of what's going on with other beekeepers. It looks like they probably had them wrapped in plastic for their shipment. There's some plastic here, and I saw some on the ground too. They do seem to have some kind of a labeling system here, and I haven't seen that on any of the others. January F, okay, so there's the months. 2/19. Boy, I would love to come over here with my bee suit and see what's going on in this hive that's got so many dead bees down there. And I tell you, like I said, this is not without risk. There are bees on the ground and I'm stepping on other areas. Now this right here, this is wax that they are uncapping and cleaning house. So they're coming over here and cleaning this all out and dumping it on the ground. So like when I make a nucleus hive and I give them sealed honey for eating, there's usually some of this outside of the hive. They should have food with them, and they ship them for a short amount of time, short as possible, so that they don't overheat. But like this one, there's even more, and there seems to be see this hive, these are wax moth cocoons, and these are wax moths here. So there's a chance that he worked the hives when he got them here. Now this beehive, I'll show you. This is pollen right here. And for some reason, they're cleaning out frames and they're dumping this old pollen out here. It could have gotten old and fermented. And like on this hive, they're clustering on the front a little bit. But look at these poor guys. I can see right in here at them. I'm usually very positive about like my bees and, you know, how people are doing things, but these bees need some work. They are put out at night, so I'm guessing that it was hard to kind of see what was going on. Normally when you have a hive and you need to move it, it's strapped down so they don't tip over and fall apart. It would seem like they would leave them strapped down, but you can see, you know, like some of them are different sizes than the other. Like this is a medium on top, and then these are deeps. So normally this is how some people will do brood boxes and then honey boxes, so that it's lighter to pull off, which would make it harder for strapping down, because then you would need different straps for each section of the hive. But this is 52 beehives, everybody. It's a great, amazing sight to see. I'm glad to see it. Either way, it's just so great to see bees working and being put to use in a commercial setting. This is a commercial farm. The farmer who owns this has many acres all around our area and the next couple of towns over, and everything is in a rotation. In previous years, he's done, you know, a short crop like this, and then they get it all worked up, and the next year they'll do beets, or they'll plant something like winter wheat. Let's go back to the house and go look up some facts about crop pollination. Now, pickle crops take anywhere from 55 to 65 days, and I would like to find out how long the bees need to be here for part of this contract, because I kind of like to see them get picked up. Also, just for my own curiosity, but the cost of pollinating a crop like this. You can bring pollinator hives into your farm and have them pollinate like your apple orchards. And a lot of times, if you're just a small time, you know, farm, it's interesting to know, you know, for a beekeeper like me, if somebody wanted me to bring a hive to them, I'm getting free honey out of it, but they would actually pay me money to bring my hives there. And I can strap down a few hives and take them a couple of miles away and use them for pollinator hives. I looked online and it was going anywhere from like $65 to $180 to have a hive placed at somebody else's property to be used as a pollinator hive. On the other hand, if you don't have agricultural property of your own and you want to have a hive somewhere, you can have to pay rent to place your hive at somebody else's place, where number one, they're getting pollen, they're getting protection, and you're in a zoning area where you're allowed to keep bees. So let's go check out those prices online and see what we can learn. So there are a lot of interesting facts online about pollinator hives and beekeeping and what you can do to get your own crop pollinated. So a local bee supply place that I used to go to is Turtle Bee Farms in Byron, Michigan. They're just north of Howell a little ways. They charge $85 a hive to bring a hive to you to pollinate however many hives you want sent out, and it is for 2 to 3 weeks. So you can kind of decide, okay, this is how many acres I have, this is how long I'd like to keep them. So different crops require a pollinator hive for different lengths of time. So 2 to 3 weeks should cover you as far as getting them all pollinated. So a normal hive would have about 20,000 bees in it, and they're figuring 20,000 bees can pollinate an acre. You know, just kind of depending on how much flowering is going on, how much transfer is needed of that pollen from plant to plant, where some plants can rely on the wind a little bit. Other plants like the almonds, very, very little pollination happens just from wind alone. Now for commercial pollination, they offered 10 hives delivered to your property, and they maintain them, pick them up and, you know, make the delivery and do any work on the hives that need to be done while they're there. That was $700, and it didn't say how long of a time or duration you got to keep the bees there, but they own the bees, they own the honey that's in the hive, and you get samples of honey, it said, at the end of the season, so they probably send you a jar or something. You know. I would hope that they would give you at least an 8-ounce honey bear for giving them $700, but, you know, they're not required to give you anything at all. You're paying them for a service. That's the neat thing. Ooh, locally, I could get into supplying my bees out for pollination hives. That would be so neat, but I got to get our red pickup truck going before I can do anything like that. I will tell you, I am looking into producing and selling our own Michigan nucleus beehives in the spring, because you can overwinter your bees and sell them as survivor stock and new queens and mated and bred queens. If you're getting beehives from down south, they're not acclimated to a Michigan winter and they may not survive. So I've done as many beehive splits and started nucleus hives off of my main hives that I had to make sure that I have like Michigan bees that can make it over. We don't know if those bees from North Carolina are going to be able to handle a winter here, so I'm going to have to do more beehive wrapping to get them to survive. So the difference that I paid in my North Carolina bees versus my Michigan bees was worth it to me, because I knew that they were acclimated, that they were survivor stock. But, you know, I was dealing with a producer that I hadn't any experience with in the past that was a backyard beekeeper that was growing. So similar to my situation where I'm a backyard beekeeper and I'm growing. So we're up to 10 hives right now and it's going really great. We just put in an order today for new honey jars so that we will be no longer shipping in our mason jars. Always a risk with breakage or possibly with jars not sealing or the vacuum seal comes undone, and it's just a lot to have to deal with selling things online. So I just found that it's safer and better to go ahead and ship in the plastic containers. So we're going to be offering some different sizes coming soon. We're going to be eliminating the 4-ounce just because the cost of shipping is higher than the cost of the actual honey. Unfortunately, there's no longer going to be a 4-ounce honey jar available, but we are offering the 8-ounce, 1 pound, a 2 pound, and a 3 pound jar. Because honey is sold by a weight and not a volume, we're switching over to that method just to kind of better keep track of things. It's real easy to sell over 3 pounds in a quart jar and not have it go by ounces. So like an 8-ounce glass of water weighs less than an 8-ounce mason jar filled full of honey. So you'll also see some changes in the Etsy store with shipping and the actual product costs and shipping costs too. So look forward to that. Neat things, fun things always happening. So great to have more bees in the neighborhood. Maybe I'll set out some swarm boxes and see if we get some more free bees, because if they're wanting to leave, they can come on over here for free. I'd love that. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you all next time. Don't forget to hit that like button and stop by our Etsy store and go shopping for some honey. And as always, we still have maple syrup in stock. Go ahead and get some ordered. You'll have it there this weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.